Oh, what's I always struggle to start these. What's happening, folks? That's me putting my arm around the dog, by the way. The dog's head's by here. This is going to be a fun video for me. I've been wanting to make something talking about lighting from the perspective of a very beginner amateur photographer like myself. I've had my camera, my good camera, my Sony a6000 for just over 2 years now, I think, and it has sparked a deeper love of photography in me. I've always been a fan of photography, always loved taking pictures, never really owned a decent camera until I bought the Sony a6000, and since then it's just been non-stop. It's an addiction. I want to buy new equipment all the time. I want to go out taking different photos, different locations, different people, and one of the main things I found myself being interested in lately is lighting. So I figured I would give you a brief history as a beginner photographer of my quest to find good light. So basically I'm just going to talk about my purchase history and what I've progressed to over the last few months. The first thing I bought as I was starting out trying to figure out how to use light in different situations was a static plug-in bulb light with a softbox, which I'm actually currently using to light this terribly lit video at the minute. I'm just talking about the lighting equipment. Don't take this as lighting advice by any means. It was just a static plug-in light with a softbox on top, just so I could play around with some sort of studio lighting setting. Because it's not a flashlight, you can see what the light is doing in the moment as you position it around a subject. And it is handy for things like, you know, lighting videos like this. This is filmed on a MacBook camera, that's why the quality isn't very good. But, you know, the light does come in handy to get some sort of consistent light. So that was the first thing I purchased, and it was fine to begin with. But what I wanted to do, ideally, was have a portable light that I could take with me onto different locations so that I could practice with different lights. Now, I'd taken a few photos in certain locations using the camera flash that comes on the Sony a6000, which is this one that you just pop up, but it isn't the best flash. It does provide some light, but it wasn't by any means you know, a decent light to get good quality artistic photography. Some example images that I took with this flash are here. My girlfriend and I went to a local abandoned place to take some like arty photos, and they were okay, and they were received quite well on Instagram. By no means artistic. So the next thing I bought was this, a cheap speed light. This is the Neewer TT560 speed light. Fully manual controls on the back. It doesn't have any fancy stuff on it. You have to adjust the strength of the flash by pushing these buttons. You've got a minus and a plus here that just changes the intensity. Handy little thing. Again, not completely useful when you're trying to get artistic shots if you just pop this on the hot shoe of the camera, because again, you've just got a flash which is facing the front. You can change this to point in different directions, so it is nice to bounce light off the ceiling and things like that. Once again, didn't really fit for what I was going for, because I wanted something portable that I could take out and fire with directional light from different directions. Now with this, I will say that you can trigger this flash using the flash on the Sony a6000. If you put this into S1 mode on the back, it will act as a slave, so that when this fires, but that's only really useful if you're in indoor conditions. If you're outdoor, I found that the light from like if you're outdoor somewhere sunny, the sunlight blocks the signal. It doesn't really flash, doesn't fire. I was trying to figure out a way to get outdoor flash with the current equipment I had for a long time. Couldn't really figure it out, and this on its own isn't that wonderful. So I had the ingenious idea of using my static softbox and trying to incorporate this somehow. So what I did is I just cut some little slits in the back of the softbox and poke this through. Once this is inside, this will flash, and then the softbox will light it up as it does with the static kit, just with a portable flash. And what I bought then to make life easier are the Neewer, I think I'm pronouncing that right, Neewer flash receivers. This one sits on top of the camera in the hot shoe, like so, and this one slots into the speed light, like so. They have little radio signal, these little red boxes. As long as those number combinations match up, then when you take a picture with the camera, this will trigger this to trigger the flash, and you've got a nice off-camera flash. These are fantastic. They cost me about £15, and they've made life so much easier when I'm taking the flash outside. So with the setup that I sort of MacGyvered together by placing this inside the softbox, I was able to get images like this. Again, me and my girlfriend just went out to get some photos, mess around with some artistic shots, place the light in different positions. I'm not very experienced with using off-camera flash, so this is all trial and error, so don't take these photos to be me being extremely proud of them. I still have a lot to learn when it comes to this sort of thing. But it was just nice to be able to go out. It was nighttime, it was pitch black, we couldn't really see anything. I was struggling with autofocus because obviously I didn't have an external light source that was switched on where I could focus on her eyes and things. So what we were doing is she would hold her phone up to her face, I would autofocus, she would put the phone down, and then I would take the picture, which would obviously fire the flash. It wasn't the most efficient way to do things, but it worked and we got some fairly decent images. I took my friend Sam and her dog Bosco down to a local park because we tried to get some photos of them, sort of like a family photo, but she's only got a dog, not a kid, so family photos of her and the dog. That's me putting my arm around the dog, by the way. The dog's head's by here. And we were able to get results like this. Again, I'm not a professional photographer. I wasn't sure what we were going for or what we would get, but we got some fairly decent results, and we were there for maybe 20 minutes at the most. It wasn't like an in-depth session. So yeah, as a beginner photographer, playing with light is probably something that you're going to get interested in, like I am doing at the moment. And I think my progression through has been fairly typical, I guess. The static softbox with the consistent light is nice just to move around and see how shadows work on the face and things like that, or anything else you're lighting, I guess. But I find, and I think you might find, that you will want to progress to off-camera flash at some point, and have something portable. So if all you're working with is a softbox and a speed light and you don't have the correct equipment, then you can cut a little hole in the back, pop this through, you've got a portable thing. In the hands of a decent photographer, like my friend Sean Lewis, who operates a photography studio here where I live, she was able to get images like this using all my equipment, just a little bit more of her know-how and editing skills. She said herself that she was very impressed with the way that this worked together, and we were able to get great results with cheap equipment. This is by no means expensive. The softbox was about £20, the speedlight was about 30, the flash receivers were 15. You know, the most expensive thing was the thing I invested in first, and that was the camera. So this is all just peripherals that I've picked up as I've gone along, and it just gets you more excited to use. I will do at some point an in-depth review and look at these individual things. So thank you for watching. If you are watching my other videos about the finance things and the Monzo app and the money box savings and investings, appreciate that. Please leave comments underneath any of these videos if you'd like to ask any questions, or maybe get me to talk about something more specific that you've identified. Please like and subscribe and share this if you've got anything from it. Otherwise, just move on. Try not to leave any nasty comments. As always, signing off with a salute now. Have a wonderful week, and we'll speak soon, no doubt.